Hello, everybody. Welcome to the book club live show for The Eyes of the Best Part by Monica Kim. Nat from Nerdy Nat Reads is going to be joining me really soon. She got in traffic coming home, so she's going to be here in a second. But I just wanted to say hi to everybody and see how people are doing. And I also wanted to say thank you to everybody who's recently subscribed to the channel. We've had a lot of new people join lately, which is fabulous. Hi, Sam. How you doing, Sam? It's been a minute since I chatted with you. How are you doing? So a lot of people have joined the channel after seeing my recent TBR game video, which is fabulous. And I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what the book club is in case people are new. So I run a horror and romance book club called the Big Bad Lead, which is book club, otherwise known as the 4B's Book Club. And basically we read a horror and romance book every month. And so this month we read The Eyes of the Best Part. And then the next few months for the fall, we're going to be reading some other romances and another horror. I haven't officially announced this yet. The book club announcement video is going to be up soon, though, this month. But I just wanted to talk through some of the book club picks that are coming up in case people are interested. So we're going to be reading Cloak and Dagger Burlesque, which is a monster romance with a pixie in it. And it's featuring a burlesque club, and that's by Lizzie Strong. It's not a book that I've heard anybody talk about, but I recently read one of Lizzie Strong's other monster romances, and that was during Summerween, and it was really good. So I thought this would be a fun book for September. The book club is going to be a little bit crazy the next few months because I'm getting married at the end of September. And so I've kind of moved the book club live shows to be like the second week of each month to talk about the book from the previous month, if that makes sense. So we have a little bit of extra time just with all of the like personal events that I have coming up and stuff like that. And then in October, we're going to be reading The Wraith King by Juliet Cross. This is the first in another monster romance series, and that one is about Fae and a war between two different Fae kingdoms, which sounds really fun. And then in November, we're going to be reading American Rapture by CJ Lead, which is a new horror release for 2024. I believe it comes out in October, and that is a like post-apocalyptic horror novel about some little religious town. I think there's like a cult element to it. That's the same author who wrote Mayfly. So that's kind of what we're going to be reading. And Sam, I'm doing all right. How are you and the kitten? The kitten is good. He is growing a lot and he's full of piss and vinegar. It's kind of like owning a little shark monkey at the moment. But he's doing great. He is rambunctious as ever. But yeah, things are crazy with finishing up the wedding planning and trying to read a whole bunch of books, getting ready for fall in October and all the spooky videos and all that stuff. Yeah, it's getting to be, end of summer. Summer went by really fast, and I feel like I'm trying to wrap up all the things and then get into the fall. So, very exciting. Very exciting. Got a lot of things coming up. It's pretty popping. Yes, I agree with you. I'm so ready for fall. It's too hot. I'm dying of heat stroke. I'm tired of being sweaty and gross every single day. I want Halloween. I want ghosts. I want horror. I want all the spooky stuff. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready to get into it. I have a lot of ideas for fall videos that I want to do, but they're all like really long, extensive videos. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be kind of fast and furious, I think. Yes, and the fires. Oh my God. The fires in the Pacific Northwest have been awful. This is like one of the first weeks where we've been able to breathe and not had to smoke like crazy. Yeah, I feel you 100%. Already starting the booktube content planning. Yes, I am too. But I feel like I have so many videos that I want to do, and I don't know what order they're gonna go in and all that. So I've been like pre-filming some sit-down videos, but I have some big vlogs that I'm working on and some other ones that I want to start. So we'll see. And then I'm also gonna be having my wedding the end of September, and then the first week of October, I'm gonna be out of town because we're gonna go to Montana and go to some hot springs for the beginning of the honeymoon, and then the second week or the second half of that week, we're going to Minnesota to see Richie, and it's gonna be fabulous. I haven't seen Richie in person in a really long time, so I'm super super excited. It's gonna be fabulous. Fabulous. Yes. So lots of fun things, but a lot of stuff that's how's it all gonna come together? I don't really know. We're gonna we're gonna see how it goes. But yes, I'm so stoked to see Richie and to go and see Minnesota. We've been wanting to go for a really long time, and Peyton and I were like, you know what, we should just do it now. I mean, we already have the time off from work for the honeymoon. Like, let's just go and take a week and just go travel to all the places that we want to go to. So it's gonna be popping. But we gotta work in book club and we gotta work in some other videos and all that. So it's gonna come together, I'm sure, but it's gonna be a little crazy. And then in August, we're currently already in August somehow. We are reading Underneath by Lily Wong for book club. And Sam and Richie are both going to be on that live show, and it's going to be fabulous. This is another horror, and I believe it's about a mom who is technically a serial killer. She's killed all of her children one by one to punish her husband. And I think it's written from the POV of the last daughter that she killed, and it's like her ghost is telling us a story about her mom. And it sounds really creepy. Richie's been trying to get me to read this book for ages, and I think it's gonna be fabulous. I am so glad that you're excited. I am also excited. I'm kind of scared of this book. Like Richie's been hyping it up for me for so long, but it's one of those things where you're like, am I gonna hate this book that my bestie loves? You know what I mean? Like I hope not, but we'll see. It also is kind of written in like little chunks too, so I think it's gonna be a fast read. But I'm scared. I'm scared of this lady who killed her kids. So we'll see. I'm excited though. I think it's gonna be really good once I get into it. I'm just scared to pick it up. Just scared to get into it. And the grind never stops, Sam. You're so right, and you absolutely should say it. There's always something going on. Every time I'm like, it's gonna be chill, everything is kind of finished, then some other big thing comes up, and I'm like, oh, JK. Yes. The bestie who's beyond intelligent and is already ready. Yes, my fabulous, very smart, lovely friend who loves this book. What if I hate the book that they love? What then? Then we're at a standoff, folks. You know what I mean? So those are kind of some of the things that are currently happening in my world. I also have another big vlog that's going to be coming up soon. Well, I have a few. One of them, I'm just going to spill the beans because I'm excited and I just want to like chat and flap my lips for no reason. But I want to do this vlog that Kayla from Books and Lala had this idea a few years ago, and she did it, and I thought it was really cool. Where she did it like a Summerween extended reading vlog, and so she looked at everybody's videos and some of the like Bookstagram posts from Summerween and read like some of the best books that people loved during Summerween, and then also read some other books that she had like wanted to read during the readathon and didn't get to. And so I think I'm going to do that vlog soon. I've been watching some of people's Summerween stuff, and I think that would be really fun to do this year. So I'm stoked about that. That's going to take me a minute though, I think, just to like make sure that I'm looking at everybody's stuff and nailing down my TBR and that kind of thing. But I'm excited about that as well. Ooh, The Haunting of Belkwood. Okay, I haven't heard about that. You guys tell me more about that, Sam. Is that a horror? Yes, it's gonna be a great discussion when we read underneath. I'm so stoked. Haunting of Belkwood. I feel like I should know what that is, and I don't. I kind of want to look it up on Goodreads just because I'm nosy. Sounds really fun though. I love anything haunted. I'm always down for haunted stuff, especially if it's like a haunted house kind of deal. That's my bread and butter right there. I love that. Love that stuff. Haunting of Belkwood. Show me the cover. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've seen this. I feel like I've seen this cover. Hasn't everybody seen this cover like 700 times? Is it just me? I read it because of Kayla. It's horror new release about a ghost street where the main girl is looking back years later to face what really happened. Ooh, that sounds fun. That sounds spooky. I love ghosty stuff. Okay, I'm adding that to my TBR. Sam, how dare you make me add another book to my TBR? Okay, why does everybody that I'm friends with on Goodreads say that this book is like 4+ stars? Have I been sleeping on this? That's hilarious. Yeah, thank you, Sam. It's not like I didn't already have like 700 books on my Goodreads to be read. Okay, Gwendolyn, uh, this author, Gwendolyn, she seems really familiar. Okay, she wrote Reluctant Immortals. Okay, I'm following. I've definitely seen her stuff around. I just have never read her before. Cool. Okay, I'll add that to my list for that video because that sounds really fun. That's exciting. I love that. That's spicy. What else have I been reading lately? I feel like I've been reading so many things I can't even recall all the things that I've been reading. I feel like I've been reading a lot of romance and horror, which honestly is the way that I prefer it, to be quite frank. Yeah, Sam, how many Goodreads books? Oh my gosh. That is so many books in your want to read. Honestly, that's a huge mood. I am the exact same way. I just keep adding more and more things on there. And I am trying to be better about actually reading the stuff that I put on there instead of just picking up other random books that aren't even on my want to read shelf in the first place. So I think part of my TBR game, I put that as like a reading prompt in the TBR jar and in some other places too, I think, where it says something about like it'll list a reading prompt, like read a book with water on the cover, like from your want to read shelf on Goodreads. I put that caveat in there to like hold myself accountable more. Oh, a bit of a reading slump. Working on a bigger reading vlog of Add My Comfort Zone books. Ooh, that's a tough one too. Because then you're like, okay, it's easy to get into a slump because you're reading all these things that you wouldn't normally read. But also, that's a really cool video concept. Oh, I'm bummed that you're in a slump. I feel like when I'm in a slump lately, the thing that I do is I go and read a monster romance because they're so out of pocket that it like pulls me out of my funk, you know? Yeah, the TBR prompts. I'm trying to be more strategic about them, especially with the new TBR game in terms of like have a prompt, but then have a caveat of like it needs to be on your physical TBR, or it needs to be something that you've marked on Goodreads, or something that like another booktuber recommended. Ooh, my slump is leading me to D&D campaign. Honestly, whatever works for you. The reading slumps are rough though. I feel like I've been hearing about a lot of people who are in slumps lately, or they're just like not having a good reading year. Like I know Erin from Erin Megan was talking about that recently on Instagram. Like she's been reading a whole bunch of new 2024 horror releases and stuff, and they're just like not good. I don't know. She's just like hating them, and I've been seeing a lot of other people saying similar things of like, I'm trying to be on top of it with the new releases and reading stuff that's been on my TBR for a while, and then they're just not like having a good time, and it's a bummer. But I don't know. I've been having a good reading year, to be honest. I feel like I'm finally actually reading the stuff that's been on my TBR for a while, and past me has good taste, and I finally just needed to like listen to past me 'cause she was right. Seems like the year of five-star droughts in reading slumps. Yes, 100%. Everybody is like begging for a 5 star. I've seen very few people actually give 5 stars this year, I feel like. That's a really good point. I feel like I've only given like three so far this year. I know, and some of them were book club picks. I gave a 5 star to Mayfly, a 5 star to Mary, and then a 5 star to something else that I can't remember. But I also really liked Eyes or The Eyes Are the Best Part. But it wasn't a five for me. That was close, but it wasn't quite a five. Wow, 13 out of 161 books have been 5 stars this year. That's one hell of a stat, Sam. 161 books. I'm so proud of you. That's such a huge number. That's so crazy. But 13 out of that number, that's rough. That is really rough. Honestly, though, I believe in you. I feel like it's just these 2024 releases are not hitting this year. I feel like a lot of the ones that I've liked, like Mayfly and Mary, neither one of those were 2024 releases. So I think I'm finally getting to some of the backlist books that I've been wanting to read, and those are the ones that have really been hitting for me, I think. Thank you, LOL. Once I hit my 150 goal, I was like, cool, don't need to read anymore. 150, that's your goal. You're not even that far off. That's crazy. And you still have so much time too in the year to hit that 150 goal. That's such a wild goal. I would love to read 100 books in a year. I'm not close. Maybe I could this year if I really pushed. If I really was like, I'm gonna like hold myself accountable and like read every single day, then maybe I could hit 150. We'll see. Hi,
Hi,
Dad.
I'm
How you
sorry.
doing?
Got
Oh,
stuck in
you're totally
traffic,
fine.
and of course, like my computer has to restart. Yeah, and that always how it is.
I Yes, I've been there like 100 times, so you're totally good. Sam, Prince Samantha, Donovan, and I are just been chatting. She's just
Awesome.
like,
Hey,
we're just
Sam.
vibing. We're just talking about everybody's reading year and how people have not had very many 5 stars. It seems like everybody I know is in a reading slump.
Yeah, that's such a mood, honestly. I think I finished. This is the only book I finished so far this month, which is
Same.
pretty abnormal for me. Hi, yes, hello. But yeah, and I gotta say though, I really liked this one. So
Yeah,
yeah. How yeah.
I'm excited to get into it. Okay, I want to know what your rating was for The Eyes of the Best Part.
So honestly, I gave it 5 stars actually.
No.
Yeah, how about
That's
you?
cool. I gave it a 4.5. It was really good. I binged it in like one day, which was fabulous. And I had a lot of fun with it. I liked how short the chapters were. It was really quick to get through. And it actually like held my attention. And I really wanted to know what was happening. I was in it with the characters. It was good. It was
Yeah,
good. Sam
yeah,
gave it a 2.5. Oh, Sam. I need to hear some reasoning. Oh no.
honest like I honestly I'm not surprised. I've heard a lot of mixed things on this one, and I think it's because like so much of the book is build up, but it's
Yeah.
like also character exploration around G1, which is like the kind of stuff I enjoy. And then I don't know why, but like everything to do with what's his name? The like not stepfather.
Oh, George. Yeah.
Yeah, like everything to do with him just felt like I was reading like a really long form Am I the Asshole on Reddit? Where like whenever she would like be a jerk to him, or was like gaslighting him and like messing with his life and stuff, all I can think was like, you're an asshole, but like you're a reasonable asshole. Like I think you're not right for doing this, but like I can't blame you for doing this. I don't know why, but I really once I had that realization, I just like enjoyed reading it so much more because it was so messy.
Yeah, I agree. That is really funny. It's one of those things too that's kind of interesting because Giovanna's such a like unreliable narrator because of her whole like she has moments where she's dreaming and then moments where she's not, and you're like, okay, has she killed him or not? Like, did she have another dream about killing him again? And then she
Yeah,
talks about like manipulating her friends, and you're like, girl, that's messed up. Are you okay? But also,
honestly.
you're like, that's with George. I love to see it, you know?
Yeah, once like I thought it was interesting that like from the start she seems so much more like a victim almost of like her circumstances, but then it was like the more you learn about her, the more it like showcased how she wasn't as innocent as she seemed. And I don't know, I really liked that about it because it was like the more like you were learning more dark things about her as she's like descending further into this madness she's starting to have and this like cravings she's having too.
Yeah, I agree. That was really cool. Well, I don't always like the Scent into Madness books, but I liked this one. But then I also don't know how to feel with the end with the whole brain tumor thing.
See, I thought like
I was
personally
like, what?
I liked it, but I think it was because I kind of wondered if there was going to be like something new there. Oh, okay, my computer just decided to be a pain. I wondered if there was going to be something more there to like the headaches and the
Mhm.
hallucinations. And then so I almost whenever they revealed it, I was almost worried that it was going to be like, oh, that explains everything. But then when she
Right.
was like, no, I still have the craving for eyeballs. I was like, okay, yes, like still take that like unhingedness and just run with it.
Hmm. Yeah, I was worried about that too once they said she had the brain tumor. I was like, well, that explains some things. But then I was like, wait, is that why she's been like descending into madness and having the nightmares and all this stuff? And then you're like, okay, well, maybe that was a little bit of it. But she's still, had these cravings anyways. But like, would she have had them if she hadn't had the brain tumor at the same time? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. I thought it was I guess it was a good reveal, but like I liked that it wasn't utilized as almost an excuse for her behavior. Like she was still, kind of again unhinged and like truly was becoming a killer sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the characters had enough depth, but I also enjoyed the commentary, female rage, and especially the eyeball imagery. But I didn't like that there was a lot of nuance. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I really like the female rage. That I love female rage books in like every
Same.
capacity. And the eyeball stuff was gross. Like that scene when she's in the bathroom, like at the gas station, and she eats the eyeball off the floor. I'm like, girl, I know you washed it, but that's disgusting. Listen, you can eat an eyeball, but don't eat it off the floor. Like that's
Yeah.
disgusting.
I was so nervous about the eyeball horror because like eye stuff can definitely get to me. Like I know I'm not alone in that. I'm sure plenty of people get really unsettled with like eye things. But
Hmm.
I think like the way the author wrote about it was like so like disgusting, but also it was like if this was, actual, not to say actual food, but if it was like something different food related, like the way she talked about it, it's like I don't even know how to put it into words, but I think she just wrote like culinarily very
Hmm.
well. But then like with the eyeball aspect, it's like horrifying on top of it. So it was just such a weird like feeling that it would elicit in me every time she was talking about how she was like craving them, and yeah, and like whenever she actually ate them too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really, that's another thing I loved about this book is all the food imagery and her
Hmm.
mom's cooking and we get that eyeball stuff right from chapter one with the fish eyes. That was really cool how she put it through the whole book and there's lots
Hmm.
of talk about food and even with the like the stepdad guy, the boyfriend George, how he takes him to all these Chinese restaurants so he can be creepy to the waitresses, but he's also like doesn't like the food that's more authentic. Like it also ties in with the culture and everything. That was really cool.
Yeah, I really liked that aspect. I was very impressed at like how the author, because like the focus of the story wasn't just about her being like a Korean woman, but I really liked how she consistently kept tying so much of her life into it, and how it also, like, unfortunately for her, ended up causing so many issues in like these relationships with the men around her. I mean, like George, for example, and then also Jeffrey, was that his name? I mean, the thing with
Mhm.
Jeffrey was like, I like the fetishization that she did with George was just so well handled, I felt. And then like it kind of played into like how Jeffrey viewed her too, even though he was also
Mhm.
like just sort of trying to make himself out to seem like he was a good dude. I really liked that.
Yeah, he was so creepy with like the stalking and stuff. I was like, ooh, from the jump, I was like, I don't like him at all. I was like, you're just carrying around feminist books so you can be like, I'm a feminist. Sit down. I feel like I went
Honest,
to college with so many of those dudes that were like literature majors where you're just like, please leave me alone. You know what I mean?
honestly. And then I was almost wondering, like, with how her relationship was with Alexis, if
Mhm.
like a sapphic relationship was going to like, excuse me, was going to spur there, and then that would just like make Jeffrey angrier. But I mean, it didn't. But like, I also feel like it was there were definitely vibes there.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that is part of what made him so angry too, is because he was like, okay, she's clearly into Alexis, and I think he's one of those dudes that doesn't like to be avoided. And he was just like so offended by that. The way he was so creepy, and he was like, "We're meant to be together. Like you should be spending time with me instead of Alexis." Like, ew,
Yeah.
that's so creepy. But I love how she just completely like got him at the end. That was so iconic because I was like, Sam, I love this. Jeffrey was the worst. We've all had that guy in our life, and I was ready for him to die. I was also waiting for him to die, and that's one thing with this book that I love is that we get so much build up with these creepy dudes, and I was just sitting there like, I can't wait to watch these men die. But then he didn't die, but it was okay because he still got his in the end, and I think that
Yeah.
made sense. Somebody had to take the hit for the murders, and
I
she said
actually
it.
loved how she did that in the end because I was really curious about like how everything was going to wrap up, especially when like there was the rumor of like the serial killer in their area. I was really curious about like how Ji-woon was going to get out of the situation, or was it going to be one of those where like, you know, in the end, like she ends up in jail or she ends up killed or something like
Mhm.
that. But so whenever it was revealed what she did with Jeffrey, like the frame up and all, like, oh my God, it was just so satisfying. I was like, I was walking my dog listening to the audiobook and I was like, yes, bitch, do this. Like, let's go.
Yes, I love that too. The only thing with that that I didn't love at the end is I was thinking about it, and because he has her backpack that he stole, which is already really creepy, with a knife in it that she used to kill the other three people, and his fingerprints are not going to be on that. Like it's in his possession, but her fingerprints are still all over that knife. And that was my thing where I was like, okay, if they really look into it, then they might think that they both did it or something, you know?
See, I was initially thinking that, but then I was wondering like maybe if there was an aspect of like if they investigated her a bit more, she has like plenty of evidence to showcase that he was stalking her. So
Right.
it's like, I mean, it might have been something to do with she could spin it in some way of like he was so in love with her or something that he like stole her knife to do this or something like that. But yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, like, that's totally fair. That's one of those where it's like, I mean, under a microscope, would this actually hold up?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I could see where maybe they wouldn't investigate her a lot because they would think, okay, she's just like a woman, like there was no way it was her kind of deal. Like they would just assume it was him, especially
Hmm.
because everybody says he's creepy and he was a stalker. And Alexis can also testify that he was following them because she saw him too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
with his reputation, I think it makes more sense for him to take the hit. But I think if the forensics team was actually like doing their job right, then
Yeah.
it kind of doesn't make total sense. But also, it was so funny at the ending to see her just like kill George and then immediately blame it on the Jeffrey guy. I was like, yes, you're an
Yeah.
icon.
Yeah, like I just love how it wrapped up basically in the end. And then with the final bits about like going after her father next, I was just like so
Mm-hmm.
unsettled with that. Where it's one of those where it's like, oh, like now you're really just like so far gone kind of thing.
Right.
Because I mean, it's her dad. Like we've seen she's had like
Right.
conflicted feelings about him throughout the whole book, but like that was when I was like, whoa, like she really did just
Mm-hmm.
take the jump, take the plunge. Hi,
Right. Yeah.
you scared me, buddy.
Yeah. I agree. The ending, I was like, okay, I really like how our main character Juwan is really like smart and she thinks 10 steps ahead of everybody, and she
Mm.
was really smart in the way that she did things,
Yeah, like
and
I
that was
almost,
really fun.
it made me wonder like whenever everything was playing out in the end and you're realizing like how she had thought this all out, it made me wonder almost like had she been planning something like this for longer than like I had picked up on kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, that made me kind of intrigued, honestly, like reread this at some point in the future to see if I could like pick out certain aspects of like foreshadowing and the author's writing, apart from like the brain tumor aspect. Like, because I caught on to those when it came to like the constant headaches and the hallucinations.
Right.
Like, I was wondering if it would go in a direction like that.
Hmm. I was kind of wondering what the deal was with her dad because she talks about like at the end she wants to go after him, but also she knows that her little sister is still like cares about the dad. So
Hmm.
that's the part where I was like, okay, I know she loves her sister, but she hates the dad enough to kill him, even though the sister still cares about him. And she mentions at one point when she's messing with George, like doing the psychological warfare on him, basically, when she's like stealing stuff from his wallet and whatever, like breaking the watch and stuff. that after the watch breaks and he finds it, she's like, the look of despair that he had is the look that my dad had right before he left. And I was almost like, I wonder if she did anything to the dad beforehand. Because
Ooh.
she mentions that she knew that he was cheating because she saw like his emails on his computer with like the poems he was writing to the other woman, and she overheard the conversation when he told the mom and
Mhm.
stuff, and that was before he left. And knowing her and the way that she likes to psychologically mess with people, I was wondering if she did anything to like push him out before he left because she knew that he was cheating.
I didn't even think about that, but that's actually, yeah, that's a really good
I don't
point.
know. She never admits to it, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
'cause,
okay.
I mean, oh, that's a really good point. I also I liked the whole with the feminist themes of it where like in her life she'd almost hit the point of like misogyny because of how every man in her life has like every really impactful man in her life has been like so negative. I just thought that was really interesting and really cool that I enjoyed even more like the protectiveness she felt for her mom and her sister. But then yeah,
Mhm.
like you were saying, her sister still had really strong feelings um about her dad. So like that would be if the story was longer and like continued on with her going after her father, like I think that would have been really interesting to see like how
Mhm.
she has to deal with that and maybe like pushback from her sister or something. Because I yeah, I really liked the feminism going on in the story with that.
Yeah, I did too. I was wondering that too throughout the story because I hit a point like two-thirds in where I was like, I feel like she's going to try to kill her dad. But the other thing that was interesting was looking at the people that she was killing because the first two were strangers. Like the first one was the homeless guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second one was the random guy who lived in the apartment building. And
Mm-hmm.
then it was the creepy guy with the baseball hat who was like talking about Asian women and being nasty at the coffee shop. And then it was George. So it's like two of them, yeah, they deserved it. The other two were just strange men who had blue eyes and didn't even do anything to her.
Yeah, like they were just
And then,
victims of opportunity kind of thing.
right. And then you throw in the dad, and that one's really personal. And he
Mhm.
doesn't have the blue eye thing going on. So it's like, okay, I
Yeah,
don't
it's like
know.
serial killer logic doesn't really work there, sort of bit.
Right. Yeah, it's like, okay, that's serial killer logic with a splash of brain tumor, I think, or
Yeah.
something, because that's not totally an MO. Another question I had, I didn't listen to the audiobook, but Sam did, and it sounds like she didn't love it. What were your thoughts on the audiobook?
I mean, I liked it well enough, but first off, I'm not like a super picky person on audiobooks. I didn't like have any glaring issues with it other than like my Everand had a few problems with like certain chapters. It would just like pause it all of a sudden and then restart. But that wasn't like the book itself, it was the app.
Hmm.
But I mean, I felt fine on it. I initially was reading this one on ebook because I almost wanted to annotate it, but it like I think this is one of those where I wouldn't have. Can you stop getting on my shelf? Um, or just fall over. I think this is one where like I'm glad I didn't annotate it on my first read through, sort of thing, because I wouldn't have known what I was like wanting to pay attention to. Whereas like upon reread, there's like certain themes I'd be paying more attention to like the second time around. And yeah, so I felt fine on the audiobook personally, but like I might have liked it more if I did physically read it, but I mean I still gave it 5 stars. So
Yeah, I was thinking about listening to the audiobook because I have Everand too, but then I was like, sometimes I remember it better, like the detailed stuff, if I read it physically.
mhm.
But And then, yeah, the Everend app issues, I've had that before too, and that drives me crazy, especially if I'm like doing something and then I'm listening to it, because then you're like, wait, am I crazier or did it just like skip a chapter or something? It makes
Yeah,
me get all lost and sauce, but I feel that.
yeah.
I also really like this too, because I read Mayfly in January and I loved it. 5 stars. That one also has like eyeball stuff in it, not as nearly as much as this,
Yeah.
but that one was a lot more gory and stuff than this one was. I thought this one might go there a little bit more, and it did in some of the scenes, but Mayfly was like
Yeah, it like
up
really
there.
went there. Yeah,
Yeah, and I love that so much, just like Sam. So I think that's why I give it a 4.5 and not a 5. Because
yeah.
for me, like Mayfly made me cry at the end for some reason. I think I was just hormonal when I read that and feeling some kind of way. But this one was really good, but not quite Mayfly level for me, I think.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I think for me, like, I mean, I love Mayfly also. That was also a 5 star for me personally too. But I think like at least when I was reading Mayfly, I was so focused on like the comparisons between it and American Psycho. So like
Mm,
I was more like viewing it and like seeing the themes that were similar to American Psycho with that one. Whereas with this one, like apart from the feminism and like female rage sort of bits, I was more focused on like, you know, her identity as a Korean woman, her identity as the child of an immigrant, or like child of divorce, that sort of stuff. So I guess it's like, I definitely see the comparisons, but I think I was just focused on like the themes that weren't the same, which is why I didn't end up really comparing them a lot. And I guess that kind of worked in my favor, but I also
mhm.
totally see that if I had been reading it and comparing it to Mayfly, yeah, that probably would have impacted my enjoyment as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a super good point as well. It felt like a debut in some of the writing and plot points. It's a good point.
Yeah, I could see that. Like there's some of the like smaller plot points that I think probably could have done without and like maybe had more focus on like the gore or
Hmm.
more hallucinations or like even more of her like messing with George, like you're saying with like the
Hmm.
psychological warfare. I think that would have been like if that had been dragged out a little bit more and almost kind of like not to say that like men aren't victims of gaslighting, but I feel like a lot of the times when you think about it, especially with like a feminist story, you would expect it to be the woman is suffering from gaslighting. I think that would have been a interesting and kind of like it sounds terrible to say fun, but like fun way of like flipping that like situation on its head with the rest of the
Hmm.
book. If that had kind of been like extended a little bit more and really making him like lose it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because he does, I mean, he's like upset and stuff, but we don't really get to see him like fully have that lose it point because then he's in the hospital and then he's dead. So,
Yeah. And like I almost I also was sort of waiting for her to like really explode on her mom and like point out
yeah.
all of the issues that her mom was
Hmm.
just overlooking. Um and I don't like I guess part of me was sort of disappointed that she never did that, but like in her mind, she was always protecting her mom because she like finally found
Hmm.
somebody that was making her happy, even if he was a terrible person and like not really making her happy. She was just glad to have
Right.
somebody. But yeah, I guess it's because really the focus of the story wasn't on the mom, it was more on her. So,
Hmm. Yeah, I really liked the relationships between her and her mom and her and her sister. That
mhm.
was really interesting. I loved seeing the sister bond and how close they were and
Yeah.
how much she cares about her little sister and is always trying to like protect her from the dad and George and just like these creepy men who are walking around. She's always thinking about her sister and that was really cute.
Yeah,
I
I
really liked
there was one scene where I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember her sister breaking down and she commented about like how hard it was for her to remember sometimes that her sister was so young. And I
it.
really liked that scene because like in my mind, I also kept forgetting that she was like only 15.
Right.
Um, and how, you know, she seemed really mature because of like all the situations they had to live with, but like emotionally, like she's still only 15. Like she really can't deal with
Mhm.
this stuff. And again, I think like tied back into the fact that Ji-woon like wanted to protect her so much more, it like really reinforced that feeling for me. I really liked that.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I also really like the parts where her sister can tell when Ji-won is lying, when other people really don't know her well enough to tell. Even like the mom, like I remember there was like a really short chapter where Ji-won's talking about how growing up her mom always told her that she knows her daughters better than anybody else because she like carried them inside of her body for 9 months. And Jiwon realizes that like that's not true. Like her mom doesn't know when she's lying. She doesn't know what she's thinking all the time. But the sister usually does because they're really close. And nobody else knows what Jiwon's thinking. Like none of the other students that she's around. And it kind of made me think more and more about like, how many people in your life that you see regularly really know you that well. You know what I mean? If
Mhm.
you're one of those people where you don't, you kind of keep your guard up around other people and you don't have a lot of close friends and that kind of thing. That was really interesting to me too.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, and her mom was interesting too when she was talking about how she kind of viewed her mom as being like weak because she just let the men like walk all over her and she didn't try to protect her daughters at all. She was just like thinking about herself and her happiness or her loneliness or whatever all the time and not trying to protect her kids. Even though, I mean, Ji-won is only like 18 too. She's not even that old. She's a freshman in college.
Yeah, I thought that was like
So,
kind of a good twist on like how her mom puts so much emphasis in her life on like a man and like
mhm,
somebody there to take care of her. Um,
right.
in comparison to like Ji-woon had like it was almost like adultification sort of thing where like she ended up having to like take on the emotional burden of the situation after her dad left.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like I liked the kind of flipping the script on that. But also, I mean, I think that's like kind of a not common, but like a more common like situation that comes up in like single parent households or like
Mhm.
in a person's issues with their parent, like where if your parent goes so far one way, like you'll go in the opposite direction. Like I thought that was a good
Mhm.
commentary around that.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing that I was kind of thinking about towards the end was when Jiwon's in the hospital and the mom tells her and her sister that the dad is having a son with the other woman. I was like, what? That one got me. I wasn't ready for that. Some of these other things, I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I figured you would kill your dad, but I wouldn't figure that your dad was going to have a baby with somebody else. Because then I was like, wait, so she's going to kill the dad, and she knows that he has a newborn on the way, and she doesn't care. And then
Yeah.
she knows that the sister still cares about him. And she's
Mhm.
like, I don't care. You're out. I was
Yeah,
like,
like I
man,
think
that's
that really
rough.
just showed like how far she'd fallen, or
Mhm.
like how, I mean, playing armchair psychiatrist on it, where it's like how she'd like given in to those like psychopathic tendencies to the point of like no return sort of thing almost, if like she was willing to do that.
Right. But I was also thinking maybe she doesn't really care about him like being present for the future kid because she's like, well, you already have two kids and you treated us like garbage and now we're in this shitty place. Like you're an awful parent. Like you don't deserve to have another kid to mess up. You
Hmm.
know? She
Yeah.
didn't say that, but I was thinking that too.
Yeah. Or like she's deemed herself like judge, jury, and executioner sort of
Right.
situation. Hmm.
Right. That's a good point too. Ooh. Want a more unhinged feminist rage? Me too, honestly, with more gore. Yeah, I also wanted that. But also the eyeball stuff is nasty. And I think you had a good point of like, eyeball stuff is gross for people more than just like normal gore, I think.
Hmm.
So, and I liked how she kept it more on the culinary side. I thought that was kind of like artfully done. But I also did want some more nastiness at the same time. So,
Yeah,
I don't
like
know.
I could have definitely gone for more gore. I think this is one of those where like you can definitely tell it's like literary horror sort of thing.
Mhm.
And I almost wonder, I haven't read it, but what's that book called? Woman Eating, where it's
Mm,
like the woman who's like a cannibal, but she's also like a food
right.
critic. Is that one?
Yeah.
Where I haven't read that one, but after reading like the way Monica Kim wrote those like gory scenes, like riding the line of like culinary deliciousness here, it makes me even more intrigued to pick up that one to see like if that author's writing is kind of similar or like done in the same vein.
Yeah. I think that one's A Certain Hunger.
That's what it is. You're right. I'm sorry. Those two, like,
Really good. I know. I've heard about both of them. They're both like on my TBR. But yeah, I've heard A Certain Hunger is really good with that culinary aspect. But I think that one is nastier, at least in my mind. I don't know. I haven't read it. Sometimes I think books are going to be really nasty, like this one. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I think it's going to be Mayfly level nasty, and it's not. I'm like, okay, well that's still cool because I was thinking about that while I was driving down the road. Like, oh my god, I can't believe I read that scene. That's like living in my head rent free now. Great.
Honestly.
But I think A Certain Hunger is more on that gore level. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a good point. That would be an interesting one to read after reading this, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Death Pick Up Certain Hunger.
Okay.
Stunning writing. More literary. Okay.
Yeah, it's on my TBR. Like, I need to prioritize it basically.
That's one that I've been like nervous to read because I wasn't sure, sometimes you're like, am I in the headspace where I want to read this? How nasty are we talking?
Yeah, that's so fair.
Ooh, A Certain Hunger made me love a villain. Plus, it's set in Italy. Ooh, I didn't know it was set in Italy. That's fun.
I didn't either. That's fun. That's awesome.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's
it's
just
like
moving up the TBR.
I guess it's just like the forbiddenness of like mixing culinary bits with like gore because it's like like a cannibalism mindset thing of like it's so taboo in society to even like talk about, let alone do. That like writing about it in this sort of situation makes it like all the more unsettling.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's interesting. What other books do you think would be good for somebody who liked The Eyes for the Best Part?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, definitely Mayfly, I would say. I don't want a lot of horror. I gotta like think about that one. That's a good question. Or I suppose A Certain Hunger. Kind of riding that wave. I almost wonder like Chlorine. I haven't read that one either, but I think that I've heard it has like some of those similar tropes or like also I think there's some discussions around like the character's Asian identity there as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good suggestion. I need to read that one as well. I started reading that when I stopped DNF'd it last year because I couldn't get into the audiobook.
Yeah.
But now I have the physical, so I think I might want to give that one another go.
Yeah, I want to try that one out. I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah. Ooh, She Is a Haunting. Okay.
Ooh, I want to read that one. Okay.
Yeah, I started reading that one too, and I stopped DNF. Well, I think I heard DNF that one actually because I read the arc, and in the arc there were so many like typos and stuff. Once I got like halfway through, that it was getting confusing about what they were trying to say.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I imagine they probably cleaned that up in the final copy, but
That's fair.
yes, the She Is a Haunting. It is YA horror, but it has a lot more bugs. It's not as eyeball like body horror. It's more bug nature horror, which I love nature horror, but it's a different vibe. But it is it has like some of the Asian culture elements to it too. That one's not set in the U.S. I can't remember what country it's set in. The
Vietnam.
family like moves to, I think that might be right. The family moves to another country to work on this, like restoring this old house. Yeah, it's sweet. But yeah, it's definitely creepy.
Yeah, that's one on my TBR. I'm like scrolling through my read books.
Yeah. You can think about it for a second if you want. I think one that I would recommend for people who like this is Peach Pit, which is a short story collection, and it's 16 stories of unsavory women. It's really, really good. There's a couple female serial killers in here as well, and it's just really fun. And they're all 16 stories are by different authors, and they're all different main characters and stuff. There's not ones that like cross over, but some of them have like different little stories within stories and unique
Oh,
formatting and stuff. But
cool.
very good. Lots of female rage in here, so I would recommend that.
That's awesome.
I have a couple that are nonfiction, but they kind of have similar themes to this. So, Minor Feelings by Kathy Park Hong. This is nonfiction essays about like being Asian American, but there's also stuff in here that reminded me of like the stalking scenes with the Jeffrey guy,
Mm-hmm.
because there's some stuff in here about creepy men that had similar energy that was really good. And then I also read How Far the Light Reaches. This is also nonfiction essays, but again, similar themes. But this one has an interesting element where the author ties in the stories and the kind of the themes in The Eyes of the Best Part to different sea creatures, and that's really cool. If
Oh,
you
I
kind
think
of
I
look at
remember watching your vlog of that one. Yeah.
yeah, it's really really good. The writing in here is beautiful. So, anyways, if people like nonfiction, those are a couple options, and then the short story collection is really good. So those are not necessarily the horror vibes of this, but the other themes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, those are just suggestions. But
Yeah. Um, I'm like kind of, but not quite, but like sorta. I guess I would say Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed.
okay.
For like, there's definitely some female rage bits and like the character kind of, I would say like devolving more in The Eyes Are the Best Part versus here like she's more like that rage is building until she finally like does
Mhm.
something with it. And then there is some like sisterly relationships in here, but they're not healthy sisterly relationships. And then like rather than an unhealthy an unhealthy relationship with her mother, it's an unhealthy relationship with her father instead.
Mm.
So like I could kind of see that comparing here, and there is cannibalism also. So
Okay.
yeah,
I
I would say
didn't know
that's
that.
good.
I'm gonna have to look at that too.
That's really the only one I can think of. This is very gothic. Like it's very
Ooh, okay.
it's more fantasy than horror, but it does have like very horrific scenes. Um but yeah, and then definitely check trigger warnings because there's like a lot of them in this. But yeah, that's like the only other one I
Interesting.
can think of.
I love gothic stuff though, so that sounds really fun. I'll
Oh,
have to take a look at that. That's interesting.
yeah, I think that's really the only
Fun.
one I could think of off the top of my head.
That's awesome. I just think it's fun to kind of compare different stuff, so that way people have recommendations if they're like, "Oh, I really like this," and I'm looking for something else that's got similar vibes or whatever.
Yeah, no, I love that question. That was a good question.
What else have you been reading lately? Just out of curiosity.
Well, unfortunately, I have made the decision I'm going to DNF "Morbidly Yours" by Ivy Fairbank, which is this very
Oh,
it's an arc with a very cute rom com cover and premise. Oh, I was going to show up the cover, but it won't. There we
I
go.
think I remember that. Yes, yes.
I'm so sad that I'm like halfway in, and oh my god, these characters are driving me insane. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna DNF that one. And then I'm reading Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett, which
okay.
is actually going really well. It's very like I gotta say it's so original that like I can't really think of a comparable title when it comes to like the magic system or the world. Like,
Cool.
I mean, it's a heist setup, which I guess you could like compare to like Six of Crows. But yeah, like the magic system is just so unique and like the characters thus far and like how they use the magic is so unique that it's really good. I'm really liking it.
That's awesome. I've definitely seen that one before. Is that one a series? Is it like a
Yeah, it's the first
trilogy?
of a trilogy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
Okay. Sam's saying she hasn't heard good things about the Morbidly one. That's
Yeah.
interesting. What have I been reading? That's a fabulous question. So I binged The Eyes of the Best Part. I've been reading, I guess I've been reading monster romance. Is what I've been reading. I've been down a rabbit hole. I found a new author and I was like, ooh, I've never heard anybody talk about this woman. It's rare that I find somebody where I'm like, I've never heard of you ever, and you have multiple books, and they're
Mm-hmm.
actually like good. But her name is Lizzie Strong, I believe. But she wrote this weird monster romance that I just read, uh, and it was called How to Marry a Lich. And I was just looking for like weird monster romances with monsters that I'd never read before. And then I realized she has like other books that it's not a series, they're more like companion stories, so you can read them at any point and it's not like you're gonna miss anything.
Mm-hmm.
But she has some other ones. She's got one with this guy who's I think they call him a Zilf. Anyways, I just started that. It's called Hauntings and Company by Lizzie Strong. But he's got like tentacles on his face, like Davy Jones. And he has a romance with this lady who's an elf. Anyways, and she's a warlock. There's like people with powers, and the other book had really good fight scenes. But it's like set in this fantasy world, and there's all these different people with powers. But there's also like different interspecies monster romances happening.
That's so
So
interesting. I've never heard
it's
of
so
these.
good. Oh,
Wow.
I hadn't either. She has like all these books. But if you look her up on Goodreads, Lizzie Strong,
Yeah.
she's, I mean, she looks super cool, but her stuff is on Everand. Like a whole bunch of her books that are set in this same world called the King's Fall. But yeah, How to Marry a Witch, that one's also on Hoopla. But the other ones, there's Cloak and Dagger Burlesque, which I think is going to be a book club pick for September. It's a sapphic monster romance between a pixie and some other creature. I'm not sure which, but it's set at like a burlesque club, which sounds really fun. And
Interesting.
there's this other one. It's called the Catos Waitress, which is like a waitress and then a guy who's like a cat, a minx. I don't know what he is. He looks like a furry. It's
I
not
was
furry
gonna,
smut.
I was gonna
It's not
say
a
that
furry
definitely
cat.
seems
He's
like
a
it's
real cat.
stories. But that's
Yeah.
wow. I gotta give her props. Like that's pretty creative, and I mean that's kind of clever to do it in like a fantastical world too, because it's
Right.
like broadens the horizons on like what her
Hmm.
monsters can be.
Right. But I thought it was cool because there's not a lot of monster romances I've seen where like the creatures are super unique, and there's some that are sapphic. They're not all straight romances either, which is kind of
Mhm.
cool. But all the monsters are really like super different. But there's really good banter, and they're funny. Like I read the first one, How to Marry a Lich, and it was so funny. It was so long though; it was like over 500 pages. And I picked it up because I was like, "This is absurd. This book is so long, and it's got a lich." I was like, "What the hell is happening?" And then I read it and I loved it. And I was like, "Why is this one of my best books of the year?"
I love that for you. That's
It's so
awesome.
weird.
Wow.
Yeah, but How to Marry a Lich is a 2024 release. It came out in February, and all the other ones are backlist, but they're on Everend. So I think I'm just gonna like binge a bunch of her stuff and see what I think. But anyways, a little rabbit hole I've
That's
recently gone
fun.
down. Yeah, it was fun. So I'm having fun. I'm vibing. I've just been reading weird, creepy books and romance. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for the fall books. I'm
I
over summer. Let's
I
move on.
feel that so much myself. I've like read a lot of horror lately, and not intentionally. And so I guess it's just like my brain's telling me like, I'm ready for fall time. Like Halloween is
Hmm.
here. To be fair, like we've bought a bunch of like decor stuff for Halloween, and we like already
Ooh,
have been putting it out. So just ready for it.
I love it. Yeah, I need to decorate, but I need to find a way to decorate without my kitten eating all of my Halloween decorations
I feel
because he
that.
will.
I
Because I have like flowers up here, like a garland thing, and he's decided that there's like two specific flowers that are not his, and he will rip them off no matter how many times I put them back on. So I know if I put like my fall leaves up, he's gonna try to attack them or whatever. So
oh geez, yeah, that's fun.
yeah, I'm like I need the Halloween vibes, but I also need my cat to not steal my stuff. So
Yeah. It's
we'll
like
figure it out.
yeah, I totally get that. Anytime Sam does it, I'm like, I give you food. I give you real things you
Right?
can eat.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, you have so many toys. You don't need to steal my stuff and play with it. Like, that's not, you don't need to. Why? For
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
I think he just likes the challenge because he's
Uh,
still very small. So he's like, I just want to see if I can get to that shelf and then get the stuff and then leave without you knowing.
yeah.
I'm like, this is not a heist. Okay,
I
you can just go play with your stuff in the corner. It's fine.
love that. That's adorable.
He's a goober.
Ooh, that's a fun idea.
That is fun. Sparkly little balls for the cats. Yeah, Rigby has some little ball toys, but he keeps getting them stuck under my other bookshelf because there's a crack. And then he'll just sit there and stare at it. And then I have to like go on a journey to try and get all of his stuff back.
Yeah, we have like this revolving sushi restaurant we go to that they give you like a little prize and it comes in like a little ball and I'll like just throw them around and Sam like knocks them all around. There's probably upwards of like 15 of them around the house somewhere and a bunch of them always end up under our couch.
Yeah, I found a bunch of stuff under the couch this morning because he stole one of my chip clips and put it under there. And then I lifted up the couch. And I was like, wait, why are half your toys under here? And like half of my pens from the office. He loves pens. And my fiance works from home, so he's like the office cat. And so he'll steal your pen. Well, now the pens are collecting under the furniture in the crevices.
Wow, that's adorable.
Okay, good. Yeah. So we just got Rigby in May. So it's our first indoor cat. So we're on the cat journey now. We're learning a lot of things. Yeah, it's been interesting. He's something. He's rambunctious. He's a goer. So sometimes I'm like, how did you get up there? You know, he's into everything. He's big enough to get into things, but not so big that he, is too big to like fit under the furniture and stuff. He'll like get on his tummy and like he goes like this, like he's a lizard.
Wiggle. Yep.
Slide under stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, how are you still doing this? What a goofball.
That's funny.
Oh my goodness. Well, do we have anything else for the good of the order with the eyes of the best part?
No.
That's all of them.
I don't think so.
I think that's all I got.
Yep.
But it was really fun reading it. I'm really glad that was a book club pick because I let people vote on that one and that's what they picked. So I think that was a fabulous choice.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. I think you did good.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on and chatting today.
Yes, thank you for letting me join. I love your little border that you have. It's so cute and on theme. Hello. Okay.
Thank you. I made that last night because I was like, I want something to go behind it, but I was like, I want something that fits the vibe.
Sorry, that was my boyfriend dropping something apparently.
That's funny. That's a mood. Yeah, I was like, how do I fit like the culinary stuff with the eyeballs? And I was like, I gotta just make my own thing in Canva. We're just gonna make it happen.
Yeah, it looks great. I love it.
Thank you. I'm trying to get better with book club about like making stuff cute. So we're on a journey to make some more cute stuff for book club. But I think I'm gonna try a new thing with the book club logo. Since it like kind of alternates between romance and horror each month, I think I'm gonna make like a version of the logo that looks romancy that has like little hearts, and then one that has like a little knife for when we read horror books. And I'm like,
I love that. That's so cute.
I think it's gonna be funny. So anyways, the book club is still evolving and whatnot, but it's fun. I really like having people on just so we can like get to know each other, and it's nice to be able to talk books with somebody for a little while.
Yeah,
because
I'm sure.
Like, yeah, for me, I know I don't have a lot of like in-person friends who are super into reading, especially like weird eyeball books and stuff, kind of. So it's fun to be able to chat with everybody, and it's funny how many people on BookTube know each other, or like are meeting for the first time and really connect and stuff through book club. So it's been really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let me know if you ever want to hang out and do book club again or reading sprints or whatever, because I just kind of recently started hosting more of that kind of stuff on YouTube, and it's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm so bad about doing reading sprints. I always, the last 2 years, I keep saying I'm going to like make it a goal to do reading sprints like once a month. And then by like the fourth month, I fall off doing it. I just am really, it's like I have no problems doing them and I have fun doing them. It's just I'm really bad about remembering to schedule them. And then like my schedule gets too busy and it's like, well, that's not going to happen now.
Yes, I agree. I've been the same way for a long time too. So it's been nice to have other people who I know are interested in doing sprints. And then sometimes people reach out and they're like, I want to do sprints. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I needed to book that. You're so right. We should do sprints.
Give them the push.
Making a pact. We will all start doing sprints more because I've been putting them off too. Yes.
Dude. Yeah, do it. Like, keep just be like, message me and be like, Nat, did you schedule your sprints for the month?
Yes. Absolutely. Because I love doing sprints too, but I'm not good at scheduling them, and I don't want to bother people either. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to lock people into having to be on sprints for however many hours, you know?
Yeah, and I'm too
Because I know
awkward
some
to do it by
people,
myself.
but yeah, me too. Me too. I'm like, I need somebody else who's down to be on sprints. And people don't even have to stay for a long time, but it's just the commitment thing. I know
Mm-hmm.
Sam is used to being on sprints for like freaking 4 hours or whatever. But yeah, my friend Richie too sometimes will reach out and be like, I haven't seen you in forever. We should do sprints. And I'm like, oh my God, you're so right. And you should say it. So I'm open to people knocking down my door to make me do sprints.
Okay.
That's successful. That's successful.
There we go. We can
Okay. Well,
keep each other honest about it.
yes, for sure. Yes. I have to stay honest about book club too, because sometimes I'm like, I need to book that live show, but when and all of that stuff too. So
Yeah.
yeah, got to keep each other accountable for these things sometimes. But it's been lovely chatting with you. Thank you
Yes.
to everybody who's watched today and chatted with us. Thank you, Sam, for hanging out in the chat and being wonderful as always. You're lovely. I'm gonna link Nat and Sam's channels in the description. I know Nat's already in there, but I'm gonna put Sam's in there too, so people should check out Sam's channel as well as Nat's channel because you're both wonderful, lovely booktubers.
Oh, you're
And
so sweet.
thank you. And it's been lovely chatting with everybody. So we will talk to you all later for future book club and reading sprints.
Yep.
Sam says bye. Okay, bye.
Bye.